Secretary Austin welcomed His Royal Highness Salman bin Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince of the Kingdom of Bahrain. Welcomed her to the Pentagon. The two leaders met to reaffirm the strength of the U.S. bilateral defense relationship and partnership with Bahrain, which is a major non-NATO ally of the United States. They also discussed the importance of expanding regional cooperation to confront the full scope of threats from Iran, including strengthening air and missile defense and bolstering our maritime security. The Secretary thanked the Crown Prince for Bahrain's long-standing hospitality to U.S. forces, including, of course, hosting U.S. Naval Forces Central Command and the U.S. Fifth Fleet. He also underscored U.S. gratitude for the Crown Prince's personal engagement in supporting the 2021 Afghanistan evacuation mission, which, of course, exemplified Bahrain's dependable partnership. Now, moving on, I often come out here and tell you what we have done, both in terms of exercises and operations. Today, I want to talk a little bit about something that we are not going to do, and I want to explain why. Last weekend, as you saw, President Putin directed a special alert of Russian nuclear forces. Now, in this time of heightened tensions, the United States and other members of the international community rightly saw this as a dangerous and irresponsible, and as I've said before, an unnecessary step. Both the United States and Russia have long agreed that nuclear employment could have devastating consequences. And we both agreed, most recently this year, in the context of the P5 statement, that a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought. Such provocative rhetoric and possible changes to nuclear posture involving the most consequential weapons in our respective arsenals is unacceptable. The United States has not taken any similar steps. And so in an effort to demonstrate that we have no intention in engaging in any actions that could be misunderstood or misconstrued, the Secretary of Defense has directed that our Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile test launch, scheduled for this week, to be postponed. And we did not take this decision lightly, but instead to demonstrate that we are a responsible nuclear power. This is not a step backwards in our readiness, nor does it imply that we will necessarily cancel other routine activities to ensure a credible nuclear capability. We remain confident in our strategic posture, as we've said before, and our ability to defend the homeland and our allies and our partners remains fully intact and ready. We recognize at this moment of tension how critical it is that both the United States and Russia bear in mind the risk of miscalculation and take steps to reduce those risks. And then lastly, he's not sitting here. But I want to just take a moment to wish the department's best wishes to Mr. Bob Burns. He is, just as I think you know, announced that after 45 years of reporting, that he's going to retire, and really finally get a chance to spend more time with his family. As you know, he's been a staple here for decades, the dean of the press corps, and without question, a gentleman in every sense of the word. A great, dogged reporter, but a gentleman. And I'd like to just take a minute to read a little something from a book that was written by one of my predecessors. It's called Confirm or Deny. It's written by Phil Golding, and he wrote this book after he left after the McNamara administration. But he says something here about the Pentagon press corps that I think suits not just all of you, but certainly Bob Burns to a T. So if you'll just indulge me for a few minutes. And the responsible members of the underrated press corps of the Pentagon sit in their grubby room on the second floor of the big building and pore over the statements of top defense officials, checking them against the outstanding files many keep, their dog-eared copies of the huge budget book, the posture statements, and dozens of volumes of congressional testimony are underlined and indexed by their own work, and the margins are annotated. While they do understand the hardware of weapon systems, the good ones are also experts on the NATO alliance or the Middle East tinderbox, and several of them know more about nuclear strategy than some of the academicians who write on the subject. I think that is a perfect way of describing Mr. Bob Burns, particularly that stuff about the nuclear strategy. He spent an awful lot of time reporting on our nuclear capabilities and our nuclear posture, our nuclear training, our nuclear readiness. So with everything going on today, stuff that I just opened with, and the tensions in Ukraine, the meeting with the Crown Prince of Bahrain in the Middle East, the tinderbox, as Mr. Golding wrote about, all that happening today, and then to be able to talk about a guy of Bob Burns' caliber